You might be asking yourself, hey, are those Australian wildfires still going on? Yeah, no, those ended March 2nd, which was just in time for the US, joined by pretty much the entire continent, to go into a duck and cover mode, as we all watched the whole world figuratively catch on fire for the next couple months, as if it was a Netflix miniseries turned nightmare. We saw unemployment hit a high of 14.7%. We also saw the stock market crash, but we did see interest rates come down. So you might be asking, hey, is right now a great time to buy a house, or should I still rent? If you're like me, you've probably been brainwashed your entire life thinking buying a house is the best investment that you possibly could make. If you rent, you're just throwing money away. And with that, you're about to click off of this video because you think you know it. But what if I told you everything you know, or everything you think you know, is a lie? I know you think you know the answer, and you might. You're obviously pretty smart. Psst, smart people, smash that like button. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know, do you own your home or do you rent? Hang tight with me for 90 seconds. I'm gonna try to unpack this as quick as I possibly can. The thing is, it's not that cut and dry. There's a lot to go over. Now, I do feel sorry for anybody that bought a home and took out a mortgage in 1981. Back then, mortgage rates were 18.63%, which I think is when my grandparents bought a home. Ouch. The lowest interest rates were back in November 2012 when they had a low of 3.31%. Now, to put that into perspective, if you had taken a $1 million mortgage back in 1981, your mortgage payment would have been $15,500 and some change. Now, had you taken out that same $1 million mortgage in November of 2012, your monthly payment would have been just a little bit above $4,000 a month. That's a difference of $11,000. So you can see how big a role the interest rate plays in how much house you can afford. And just this month, we're seeing mortgage interest rates hit an all-time new low. They're hovering right around 3%, which is not that different than what we saw back in November 2012. And to top that all off, unemployment rates, while they were at 14.7% in April, they closed July barely over 10%. So with unemployment dropping, interest rates dropping, you must be thinking, hey, right now must be a great time to buy a house.
Indoctrinated to buy a house from birth, low interest rates, unemployment rates dropping, the stock market going up. What am I missing, Michael?
When someone asks, is right now a good time to buy a house, it's assumed they're asking, is it a good financial decision right now to buy a house? Same as if I asked you, is right now a good time to buy Tesla stock? Or is right now a good time to buy Apple stock? Both going through a split, 5-for-1, 4-for-1, respectively. So is right now a good financial time to buy a house? And you're probably thinking, of course it does, Michael. Of course it is, right now. But is it? Now, this is the time where I'm going to show you some numbers. It's also that time where Neo is presented with the red and the blue pill. It's also that time where Bilbo Baggins accidentally slips on the ring. No. I'm going to go 2020 style here. This is that moment where you roll up into the grocery store parking lot and you're debating whether to put on your face mask or not. This is that moment when the wizard is about to be unveiled behind the curtain. Are you with me? I'm gonna keep the numbers simple and close to home. We're looking for $1 million home and I'm in the San Diego area. Now, hang with me. $1 million home with a 20% down payment means we need to borrow $800,000 and at a low interest rate of 3.19% for a jumbo loan per bank rate at the time of filming this gives us a mortgage payment of $3,455. Now, I did a little looking around and I found a comparable house that was for rent. It was renting for $3,750. So right there, it's already cheaper to buy a home. Plus, you're thinking, hey, I'm gonna get that equity. Over time, I'm building value in my home. The price is going up, plus I'm building equity as I pay that loan off. Now, when you buy a home, there's gonna be other things that you need to look at that you're gonna be spending money on. It's not just the mortgage. In this case, the ad for the rental said it included an HOA, it also included landscaping. Both of those things are not included in the mortgage payment. So if we add that to the house buying then we're probably gonna get about the same amount. $150 for landscaping, maybe $200 for HOA. So right now they're about dead even. Now I don't wanna make this super long. So when you rent, you don't have that many expenses. You might have some renter's insurance, but when you buy a house, there's gonna be a lot of other things that you need to worry about. There's property taxes, and on $1 million home, you're looking at about $10,000 a year. Also, there's maintenance. When you rent, you're not worrying about maintenance. If something breaks, the roof leaks, you're calling your landlord. If you own the home, you are the landlord. You're gonna have to fix it. And on average, maintenance on a house is about 1 to 4% a year. So on the low end, that's about $10,000 a year. And a month, that's about $833 a month. $10,000 for the taxes, $10,000 for the maintenance a year. You're also looking at insuring your house. When you rent, renter's insurance is super cheap. When you buy a house, it's a lot more expensive. So renter's insurance might be $200 a year, whereas home insurance might be $2,000 a year or more, depending on the value of your home. So if we were to add in the mortgage plus insurance, plus taxes, plus maintenance, plus HOA fees, plus landscaping, we're gonna be looking at spending over $5,600 a month just for that $1 million purchase. Big difference, it's close to $2,000 span right there. So remember, the renter is locked in, they're spending $3,770 a month. So strictly from a financial standpoint, the renter is paying $2,000 less than the homeowner. Plus, they didn't have to go take $200,000 and stick it in a house doing nothing. Now, they could take that $200,000 and put it in an investment, making 7% a year. Maybe they're putting it in an index fund. Or if you watch some of my other videos, I've showed you how I've made 12%. Maybe they put that $200,000 to work, they buy some Tesla, they buy some Apple stock or other mutual funds making 8 or 9% a year. And they're spending $2,000 less on housing than the homeowner is.
What about the tax write-off on the mortgage interest? Or what about the appreciation? That house is gonna go up in value, it's gonna be worth boatloads in the future.
Okay, so the mortgage interest tax write-off. Basically, in the past, you could write off the mortgage interest that you're paying each year on your taxes. But back in 2019, which seems like an eternity ago, the IRS nearly doubled what the standard deduction was. So it basically leveled the playing field for people that have mortgages and didn't have mortgages. So unless you have a huge mortgage and you're paying a lot of interest, and that's that person that's buying $1 million home, putting 20% down, and they've got a mortgage of $800,000 or more, you're likely not going to be itemizing your deductions on your taxes. Now regarding home appreciation, that's a little bit tougher to nail down. It's kind of like determining what Tesla stock is going to do tomorrow. No one really knows. However, we do have some historical data on home appreciation. And nationwide, the average has been 3.4% annually. Now, if you live in the San Diego area, the average has been 5.2%. So if we take that $1 million home over a 30-year period, at 3.4% appreciation, that $1 million home would be worth about $2.7 million. And if we assume that the renter, instead of buying that house, they took their $200,000 that they could have used on that down payment, put it in an index fund at 7%, and remember, they had that $2,000 spread from $3,770 rent to the homeowner's outlay of mortgage and property taxes and insurance and repairs of $5,600 and something dollars. If they only took $1,000 and invested that every single month with their $200,000 investment, at the end of 30 years, your renter is going to have $2.8 million sitting in the bank. So you can see the renter and the homeowner have a similar net worth at the end of 30 years. However, the renter was spending $1,000 less than the homeowner. Now, I know, prices go up, rents will go up, and taxes will also go up. The costs on repairs for your house will go up. And I know there's something about owning your house, owning where you live, because you can put your own touch on it. You can do renovations, you can upgrade things, you can make those type of touches to your house. So those things are not something that you can necessarily put a price tag on. There are benefits to buying a house and there are benefits to renting. So now you can see somebody that is just renting may have a higher net worth than somebody that actually owns a home, because if they choose to do something different with their money, like invest it. Now every market is a little bit different, so depending on where your house is, it might appreciate higher or lower. Now let's not discount the renter and how savvy they've been. They've avoided paying property taxes, making repairs. They have a lot more time on their side because they're not spending time making repairs or doing remodels. And whereas the homeowner might be doing those types of things with their time. The renter is free to go do whatever they want with their time. So they might have a different life than somebody that owns a home. Now let's not discount how savvy that renter has been, not paying property taxes, not paying HOA fees, not worrying about home maintenance. Now the renter can also move whenever they want. Well, if they're not in a lease or if they want to pay the penalty for breaking a lease, but they can basically get up and move wherever they want, whenever they want, whereas the homeowner can't easily do that. They have to first sell their house or find somebody to rent their house to. And if they do decide to sell their house, everybody is gonna want a piece of that pie. Don't forget, every single time you sell your house, so if that homeowner needs to move and sell their house, they're gonna be paying real estate agents to sell their house at least 6%. So $2.7 million home for sale, they're gonna spend over $160,000 just on fees, not to mention all the other fees associated with selling a home. The renter does not pay those fees when they leave and they go move to another state or another city or just down the block. Now, what if the renter and the homeowner had the same budget? In that previous scenario, we saw the homeowner buy $1 million home and we saw the renter live in $1 million home. We also assumed that the renter had an extra $1,000 above the rent to make an investment. So here, if we level the playing field and we say the homeowner, the buyer has a limit on their budget that their housing cannot exceed, say, $3,500. And the renter finds a house for $3,500. So that is our housing cost. Now, if you're in the San Diego area and you want to keep your housing below $3,500, you're probably looking at a $600,000 house max. You're thinking about property taxes, you're thinking about maintenance, you're thinking about insurance, HOA fees, or anything else that may go into that home. And with the renter, they're maxed at $3,500 as well. So we don't have that extra $1,000 going into an investment. However, at $600,000, 20% down, we'll say both the homeowner and the renter both have $120,000 to invest. One invests in the house as a down payment, the other invests in an index fund making 7%. At the end of 30 years, who's in a better situation, the renter or the homeowner? So running those numbers again, if that house appreciates at the national average of 3.4% over 30 years, that $600,000 house is going to be worth $1.6 million. Now the renter took that $120,000, stuck it in an index fund, and started generating 7% returns over 30 years. Remember, they didn't add any additional funds to it. So after 30 years, at 7%, they had about $973,000, close to $1 million. So in this scenario, the homeowner actually came ahead and beat the renter out by about $600,000. Remember, market conditions are not guaranteed and home appreciation is not guaranteed either. Let me know in the comments what you think is a better scenario, being the homeowner or the renter. Also, keep in mind, every city is going to be a little bit different. There's obviously pluses and minuses to both being a renter or a homeowner. Being a renter, you have more cash liquid and you can pounce on a business opportunity. As a homeowner, you may not have those funds available. It's sitting all in your house. I think too often people look at home buying as this amazing investment, when in reality it's a place to live. And when people ask the question, is right now a good time to buy? While they're strictly asking based on a financial situation, they are more than likely also mixing a lot of emotions in that question. So if you're buying a home to live in and you think you're viewing the purchase strictly for the financial aspects, I guarantee you there are emotions mixed in there. So the best time to buy would be when you find that perfect home and also when you can afford it. Now, from a financial standpoint, removing emotions, it's likely better to rent. In my example, I used a conservative 7%. And I know I've shown you in other videos that I've gotten 12% over the last 10 years. Also, this past year, I'm averaging 34% on investments. So if that person that was renting took $120,000 and they invested that in an index fund, in a mutual fund, and they got 12% or they got 9%, if they got 9%, they would have $1.7 million, which beat out the 3.4% appreciation on the house, which put us at a $1.6 million valuation. And if they happen to get 12% at the end of 30 years, the renter is gonna be sitting on close to $4 million. Society often makes us look at the homeowner and the renter, and we automatically think that the renter is not as financially fit as the homeowner, which that may not always be the case. Both the renter and the homeowner have positives and negatives. So you have to decide what's best for your lifestyle, your finances, and just your family and yourself. Regardless of whether you own a home or you're renting, it is crucial that you save and you invest money. As we saw in a previous video, 50% of people out there are spending more money than they bring in each month. If you're considering taking a vacation anytime soon and you're curious, hey, is it better to get a timeshare or a vacation club, or is it better just to pay cash for your vacation? Check out this video right here, and I will see you on the next video.